Have you ever opened the fridge, pulled out yesterday's dinner, and thought, a quick microwave will do? It feels like the smart, efficient thing to do. No waste, no hassle. But here's a sobering truth. That simple act might be doing more harm than good. Many common foods we reheat without a second thought can undergo chemical changes that turn them from healthy to hazardous. What once nourished your body could now be quietly contributing to inflammation, digestive distress, or even increasing your long-term risk of diseases like cancer or dementia. And the scariest part, you wouldn't even know it. In today's video, we'll walk through 5 specific foods, everyday staples, that health experts and researchers say you should never reheat. We'll explore not just what they are, but why the science behind them matters, especially for older adults whose bodies process food differently with age. If you're someone who cares about protecting your health, preserving your energy, and aging well, these lessons might just change the way you see your kitchen forever. Before we begin, if this kind of information matters to you, please hit the like button and subscribe. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Type 1 if you're here for the full video, or 0 if you think we can do better. Let's dive in. 1. Reheating spinach releases harmful nitrates. Spinach has long been celebrated as one of nature's most powerful superfoods. Rich in vitamins A, C, and K, packed with iron, and full of antioxidants that support immunity, heart health, and brain function. Whether you blend it into a smoothie, toss it in a salad, or stir it into your favorite warm dish, it seems like an easy way to nourish your body. But there's a lesser-known truth that many of us overlook. Spinach doesn't respond well to being cooked, stored, and then reheated. In fact, doing so may transform its natural nutrients into substances that could harm your health. Slowly, silently, and over time. At the core of this concern is spinach's naturally high nitrate content. In its raw or freshly cooked form, these nitrates are actually beneficial. They help regulate blood pressure, improve circulation, and even enhance physical endurance. However, when spinach is stored for too long and then reheated, especially using a microwave or high heat, these nitrates can break down into nitrites. And nitrites, when exposed to further heat or certain enzymes in the digestive system, can form compounds known as nitrosamines. Why does that matter? Because nitrosamines have been closely linked to increased cancer risks, particularly cancers of the stomach, colon, and other parts of the digestive tract. The World Health Organization and the National Cancer Institute have both published research indicating that repeated exposure to nitrosamines may contribute not only to cancer, but to neurological damage as well, especially over the long term. This transformation is invisible. You can't smell it, see it, or taste it. Your spinach soup may look and smell perfectly fine, but the chemical changes within could quietly impact your body. That's what makes it so dangerous. And for older adults, this matters even more. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at filtering out toxins. Our cellular repair slows, our antioxidant defenses weaken, and our brains become more sensitive to inflammation. What might be minor for someone in their 20s could become a real health threat in our 50s, 60s, or 70s, especially when it comes to long-term exposure. Let's put this into a common example. Say you prepare a large batch of vegetable soup with spinach on Sunday and plan to enjoy it throughout the week. On Tuesday, you reheat a bowl in the microwave. While it still tastes fine, what's hidden beneath that flavor could be a buildup of nitrosamines formed during storage and reheating. Repeat that habit over months or years, and you may unknowingly be increasing your risk of chronic illness. So, what can you do? Fortunately, the answer isn't to avoid spinach altogether. Fresh or lightly cooked spinach remains one of the healthiest foods you can eat. The key is in how you prepare and store it. Whenever possible, enjoy spinach raw or freshly cooked. If you've made a spinach dish, consider eating the leftovers cold, like a cold spinach soup or a salad. If reheating is unavoidable, use the stovetop with low, even heat and avoid using the microwave. Never reheat spinach more than once, and don't leave it sitting out at room temperature for long periods before refrigerating. Try to consume refrigerated spinach dishes within 24-48 hours. And here's another tip. Store cooked spinach dishes in sealed glass containers rather than plastic or uncovered bowls. This helps limit oxidation and slows down the chemical conversion process. Remember, it's not just about nutrients. It's about avoiding the silent stressors that chip away at your body's vitality. Small daily habits, like choosing to eat spinach fresh or cold instead of reheated, may seem insignificant, but over time, they can have a powerful cumulative effect on your well-being. Your body has taken care of you for decades. These small changes are a way of returning the favor. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights helpful, leave a comment with the number 1 to let us know you're here and learning. Thank you for your time. Now let's move on to the second food on our list, one you probably eat every week. 2. Reheated potatoes can quietly disrupt your health. Potatoes are comfort food at its finest. Creamy mashed, golden roasted, crispy skinned baked, or simmered in a rich stew. They're a beloved staple in kitchens around the world. Affordable, satisfying, and endlessly versatile, potatoes feel like the ultimate safe food. But what if that leftover mashed potato side dish you reheated last night carried more than just warmth? As harmless as they seem, reheated potatoes come with a surprisingly serious risk, one that's often hidden beneath layers of foil, time, and convenience. Here, SY, when potatoes are cooked, their starches soften and become easily digestible. But once they cool, especially if they sit at room temperature or are kept in the fridge too long, those starches undergo a process called retrogradation. This turns them into resistant starch, a form that resists digestion and behaves differently in the gut. Now, resistant starch in small amounts can actually be good for you. It feeds healthy gut bacteria and helps regulate blood sugar. But the issue isn't the starch alone. It's the environment those cooled potatoes create. If potatoes are cooked, wrapped in foil, and left to cool slowly before being refrigerated, they can create the perfect breeding ground for a dangerous bacterium, Clostridium botulinum, the culprit behind botulism. This microbe thrives in low-oxygen, moist, starchy environments, like that foil-wrapped potato sitting too long on the counter. And here's the unsettling part. The toxins produced by C. botulinum are completely invisible. No strange smell, no odd taste, no sign that anything's wrong. But they can cause serious illness, including nausea, dizziness, and in rare but severe cases, neurological damage. Older adults are especially vulnerable. As we age, our immune systems weaken, our digestive systems slow, and we become more susceptible to the effects of low-grade toxins. And new research on the gut-brain axis, the powerful connection between your digestive system and your cognitive health, shows that even subtle inflammation in the gut may contribute to memory problems, mood disorders, and increased risk of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Let's picture a common scenario. You roast a tray of potatoes for Sunday dinner and wrap the leftovers in foil. On Tuesday, you're short on time and pop one into the microwave. You might not think twice. It looks fine, tastes fine. But if that potato cooled slowly or was stored improperly, it could now contain bacterial toxins that won't show up until much later in your health. This is how small, routine habits can quietly influence your long-term well-being. So what's the solution? Start with prevention. Cook only what you'll eat fresh when possible. If you're storing leftovers, skip the foil. Use airtight glass containers instead and refrigerate promptly. Cooling your potatoes quickly can prevent the formation of bacterial toxins. When it's time to reheat, avoid the microwave. Opt for gentle, even heat on the stovetop or in the oven, and never reheat the same potatoes more than once. If they've been in the fridge for more than a couple of days, or something seems off, it's safer to toss them. These may sound like small steps, but for older adults striving to preserve their health, energy, and memory, they matter. Tiny, repeated exposures to toxins and inflammation add up. Your digestive system, your brain, and your body will thank you for choosing caution over convenience. So the next time you're reaching for that leftover potato dish, ask yourself, is this worth the risk? A little extra mindfulness could go a long way in protecting the health you've worked so hard to maintain. 3. Reheated eggs may release harmful compounds. Eggs have long been celebrated as a nearly perfect food. Affordable, quick to prepare, and packed with high-quality protein and essential nutrients like vitamin D, choline, and B vitamins. Scrambled for breakfast, hard-boiled for snacks, or baked into casseroles and quiches. Eggs fit into just about every meal. For many older adults, they're a staple of a healthy routine. But there's something we rarely consider. What happens when those eggs are reheated? You may think warming up yesterday's omelet or hard-boiled egg in the microwave is harmless. It's convenient, after all. But the truth is that reheating cooked eggs, especially using high or uneven heat, can quietly change their structure in ways that may make them more difficult to digest and potentially harmful to long-term health. Here's what's happening behind the scenes. When you first cook an egg, its proteins go through a process called denaturation. This simply means the proteins unfold and reshape so your body can absorb them. That's the whole point of cooking, to make the nutrients in eggs more accessible. But when you reheat those already denatured proteins, especially in the microwave or under high heat, they change again, becoming tougher, more rubbery, and harder for your digestive system to handle. This is particularly important for older adults, whose digestive systems naturally become less efficient with age. Stomach acid production and digestive enzyme levels decline over time, which means your body has to work harder to break down rigid, overcooked proteins. The result: you may feel bloated, sluggish, or just a bit off after eating reheated eggs, and you might not even realize what caused it. But the concern doesn't stop at digestion. Reheating eggs can also lead to the oxidation of cholesterol in the yolk. In its natural state, cholesterol plays many vital roles in the body. But when it's exposed to intense or repeated heat, it can transform into harmful compounds called oxysterols. These oxidized fats are linked to increased inflammation in the body, a condition now widely recognized as a key driver of chronic illness. Studies published in journals like Nature Reviews Neurology and the Journal of Lipid Research show that these compounds may contribute not only to heart disease, but also to cognitive decline, memory loss, and even the development of neurodegenerative conditions such as dementia and Alzheimer's. The risks may be subtle, but they're cumulative. Imagine this: on Sunday, you hard-boil a dozen eggs to have ready for the week. An efficient, healthy habit. But each day, you microwave one for just 30 seconds to warm it up. After months or years of repeating this small habit, you've unintentionally introduced tiny amounts of oxidized cholesterol and hard-to-digest protein into your body. It doesn't cause problems right away, but over time, it may add strain to your gut, your heart, and your brain. Systems already more vulnerable as we grow older. That's why it's worth rethinking this habit. If you prepare eggs in advance, consider eating them cold instead. Hard-boiled eggs taste great in salads, sandwiches, or as a snack with a little sea salt and pepper. If you absolutely need to reheat them, do so gently. Use low heat on a stovetop, not the microwave. This approach helps preserve the egg's original structure and reduces the risk of harmful chemical changes. Also, make sure your eggs are stored safely. Refrigerate them promptly after cooking and consume them within a few days. If an egg smells off, has a strange color, or has been sitting in the fridge too long, toss it. It's not worth the risk. Eggs are still an incredibly nutritious food, especially for older adults seeking to maintain muscle mass, brain health, and energy. But like many things in life, it's not just what you eat. It's how you prepare and handle it that determines the impact on your body. By making these small adjustments, you're not giving anything up. You're simply giving your body, especially your aging body, a better chance to thrive. If you're still with us and finding these lessons valuable, leave a comment with the number 2 below. Let us know you're learning, reflecting, and choosing to care for yourself in the small, meaningful ways that matter most. 4. Reheating chicken can trigger hidden inflammation. For many of us, chicken is the poster child of healthy eating. It's lean, high in protein, and endlessly versatile. Whether you're grilling breasts for a salad, roasting thighs for Sunday dinner, or baking drumsticks for the grandkids, chicken feels like a wholesome, dependable choice. And for older adults especially, it often forms the backbone of a nutritious, protein-rich diet. But here's something you may not know: the way we handle chicken after it's cooked, specifically how we reheat it, can quietly compromise its health benefits and even introduce long-term risks. Let's break it down. When you cook chicken, The heat transforms its proteins, unraveling them into a form that your digestive system can efficiently break down. This process is called denaturation, and it's one of the reasons cooked meat is easier to digest than raw. But when you reheat that chicken, especially using high heat or uneven heating methods like microwaving, those same proteins undergo another structural change. They become tougher, less flexible, and harder for your body to digest. This might not be a big issue when you're 25 and your digestive system is humming along. But by the time you're in your 60s or 70s, your stomach acid levels and digestive enzymes naturally decline. Reheated chicken can feel heavier, harder to process, leading to bloating, discomfort, or subtle fatigue after meals. And that's just the beginning. More importantly, reheating chicken, especially repeatedly or at high temperatures, can lead to the formation of harmful compounds known as advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. These compounds form when proteins or fats are exposed to intense heat, and they've been linked to low-grade chronic inflammation throughout the body. Here's why that matters. Chronic inflammation is no small thing. It's been identified as a root contributor to a wide range of age-related diseases, from arthritis and high blood pressure to heart disease, insulin resistance, and cognitive decline. Inflammation doesn't always announce itself with pain or swelling. Often it works in the background, draining your energy, clouding your memory, and dulling your mood. Let's paint a picture. It's Sunday night. You've roasted a batch of chicken breasts, sliced and stored them neatly in the fridge for quick meals during the week. On Tuesday, you toss a portion into the microwave for lunch. The meat tastes fine, maybe a bit rubbery, but nothing alarming. What you can't see is that the protein structure has degraded, and what you don't taste are the AGEs forming, quietly working their way into your system, adding to your body's inflammatory burden with every bite. Now imagine repeating this routine for months, even years. For older adults already dealing with chronic inflammation, whether from arthritis, autoimmune conditions, or high blood sugar, this extra dietary strain can become the tipping point. It taxes the immune system, impairs healing, and even impacts brain health. Researchers studying the gut-brain connection have found that inflammation in the body, including the kind triggered by reheated proteins, may worsen cognitive symptoms like brain fog, memory loss, and even the early stages of dementia. But before you swear off chicken completely, here's the good news. You don't need to stop eating it. You just need to handle it differently. Start by cooking in smaller batches. Whenever possible, enjoy your chicken fresh, whether grilled, baked, or stewed. If you do have leftovers, store them promptly in glass containers, not plastic or foil. Keep them refrigerated and try to eat them within 1-2 days. When it's time to reheat, avoid the microwave if you can. Use gentle heat on the stovetop or in a low oven to rewarm it slowly and evenly. This preserves the protein structure better and minimizes the formation of AGEs. Better yet, repurpose cold chicken into meals that don't require reheating, like wraps, grain bowls, or hearty salads with olive oil and lemon. Not only is it safer, but it can actually be more flavorful and satisfying. The key takeaway is this: it's not just what you eat. It's how you prepare and treat your food that shapes its impact on your health. For older adults navigating the complex realities of aging, declining metabolism, sensitive digestion, and a greater risk of inflammation, small choices like how you reheat chicken can have outsized effects. And while these changes may seem subtle, they add up. Over time, your energy, memory, mood, and resilience are shaped by the foods you choose and the habits you build around them. So next time you open the fridge and reach for leftover chicken, pause for a moment. Your future self, with sharper memory, steadier joints, and more vitality, just might thank you. If you're still watching and learning, please comment the number 3 below. These small lessons can lead to big changes. 1 meal, 1 habit, 1 mindful moment at a time. 5. Mushrooms lose their balance when reheated. Mushrooms are one of nature's quiet superfoods. Earthy, meaty, and packed with nutrients, they've earned their place in everything from omelets and risottos to soups, stir-fries, and hearty grain bowls. They're low in calories but rich in antioxidants, fiber, B vitamins, and unique compounds that support the immune system and may even help prevent cancer. But while mushrooms offer powerful benefits when fresh and properly cooked, they can quickly lose their balance. Nutritionally and chemically, when reheated, you see mushrooms have a complex internal structure. They're unlike most vegetables. Their proteins are delicate, their enzymes sensitive, and their fats prone to oxidation. When you cook mushrooms fresh, these elements break down in a healthy, controlled way that makes their nutrients more bioavailable, easier for your body to absorb and use. However, when mushrooms are reheated, especially multiple times or using high heat methods like microwaving, this balance starts to fall apart. Let's begin with digestion. The proteins and enzymes that were once helpful start to degrade into less digestible forms. For younger people, this might go unnoticed, but for older adults whose digestive systems often slow with age, less stomach acid, weaker enzymes, slower gut motility, the result can be discomfort, bloating, heaviness, or even nausea after eating what once felt like a healthy meal. But the deeper concern is what happens on a chemical level. Reheating mushrooms, especially after improper storage, like keeping them in plastic containers or letting them sit too long, promotes oxidation. This is the same process that causes fruit to brown or metal to rust. In your body, oxidized fats and proteins form compounds that contribute to oxidative stress, an invisible but powerful force linked to aging and disease. Oxidative stress acts like a slow-burning fire within the body. It damages cells, inflames tissues, and has been connected to conditions like cardiovascular disease, weakened immunity, and neurodegenerative disorders such as Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. For older adults, whose bodies are already navigating the natural wear and tear of time, this added burden can quietly tip the scales. Picture this: you make a beautiful mushroom risotto on Monday night, rich with cremini and oyster mushrooms. You store the leftovers in a plastic container and refrigerate it. On Wednesday, you reheat a bowl in the microwave for lunch, but something feels off. The texture is rubbery, the flavor is dull or metallic. It doesn't taste spoiled, but it's not the same. That subtle change is a sign. The proteins have unraveled, the fats have oxidized, and the enzymes that once aided digestion may now trigger discomfort. Over time, repeatedly consuming oxidized foods like this can wear down your digestive and immune defenses, especially if your body is already managing chronic inflammation, gut sensitivity, or age-related fatigue. Even the texture of reheated mushrooms tells the story. Freshly cooked, they're plump, juicy, and tender. But reheated, they often turn rubbery, watery, or oddly slimy, a sign of breakdown at the molecular level. And it's not just a culinary disappointment. That degradation often reflects a loss of nutritional value and an increase in inflammatory or indigestible compounds. So what's the solution? Do we need to swear off mushrooms? Not at all. In fact, mushrooms, when fresh and thoughtfully prepared, are still one of the best foods you can eat. Here are a few ways to keep them on your plate safely. Cook small batches. Try to prepare only what you'll eat in one sitting. This reduces the need to store and reheat them later. Store smart. If you do have leftovers, store mushrooms in a sealed glass container, not plastic. This minimizes moisture buildup and slows oxidation. Reheat gently. If reheating is necessary, avoid the microwave. Instead, use low heat on the stovetop or in the oven to preserve structure and taste. Enjoy cold. Cooked mushrooms can be delicious cold. Toss them into a salad, grain bowl, or sandwich. Add olive oil, herbs, and lemon for flavor and freshness. Use within a day or two. The longer mushrooms sit, the more they degrade. Try to consume leftovers quickly to preserve quality and safety. What may seem like a tiny detail, whether or not to reheat mushrooms, actually touches a much larger story about how our bodies age and adapt. As we grow older, we have less room for error. Our systems become more sensitive to stressors, and our food choices start to have deeper consequences. For our energy, our memory, our immunity, and even our mood. The takeaway is simple but powerful. Care for your food, and your food will care for you. These small, mindful changes. Storing mushrooms in glass, choosing to eat them cold, cooking smaller portions, might feel like extra effort now. But over time, they protect your digestive health, reduce inflammation, and support your body's resilience from the inside out. So next time you see leftover mushrooms in the fridge, take a moment. Ask yourself if that convenience is worth the compromise, or if today's energy and clarity are worth just a little extra care. If you're still with us and finding these lessons valuable, please comment the number 4 below to let me know you're still watching. Your attention means everything, and your health is worth every mindful step. As we wrap up, thank you for staying with us through these surprising truths about reheating everyday foods. What we eat matters, but how we handle and prepare our food can quietly shape our long-term health in ways we often overlook. Maybe it was the risk in reheated spinach, or the hidden toxins in cold-stored potatoes, or the subtle changes in eggs, chicken, or mushrooms that gave you pause. Whichever part stood out, we hope it empowers you to take small but meaningful steps in your kitchen. Not from fear, but from care. We'd love to hear from you. What did you learn today that surprised you most? And more importantly, how might you use that knowledge starting tonight? Maybe even with your next meal? Please leave a comment below to share your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if this video helped you. Thank you again for your time, your trust, and your commitment to a healthier future. We'll see you in the next video.